Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. Thank you so much for joining me, and this is Shifting Perspectives. I just did a few things about 10 minutes ago on my YouTube channel. I was getting ready to load up, and I ran into a tech error. I'm going to call it a tech error, where basically it looked like my entire YouTube channel was gone. And I went, okay, what is this? Checked my stuff, checked YouTube, everything else seemed to be working. It was just my channel, checked my internet connection, everything else was fine. It was just my YouTube channel. And there is the undiscussed thing here that I deal with in the back of my subconscious mind that I really just need to talk about because, well, I come from a place where the government is in on it because they were in on it. I watched people inside the government, people with power inside the government, manipulating the government and using it as a tool to honor their own prejudice. So for me, this is a very real thing. And I've had it in the back of my mind for quite a while. I need to clarify something. There was a shooting a few months ago. Oh God, a year now? A year ago, there was a shooting in Buffalo or Rochester, New York. A man from Conklin, New York, drove all the way over to Buffalo or Rochester. I can't remember where. I never can remember the two cities. And he opened fired on Black people in a Walmart. Do you remember that? Conklin is about 5 minutes away from where I lived. When I heard the shooting, my mindset was, yep, that's where I grew up. That's right. A horrific event. Absolutely a horrific event. But that concept, that mindset, absolutely. That is the people that I was raised with. And those people were in the government. Those people were cops. Those people were, that was normal. Everyone was like that. And it's still there, that fear, where I'm going, they're going to try and stop you from talking. They're going to try and take away your voice. And I got a good dose of it just now when my YouTube channel was down and I went, oh my God, are they interfering? And I am like, they say the law is, and then there's what they will do. I want to point something out to you. This is one of my favorite things to do. You know the movie Red? I don't remember his name. He was the really awesome character who was the guy who was over paranoid, quote unquote, the one who said, I'm going to get the pig, that one. You know, he was never wrong. Not once. I watched the movie like only 18 million times. And he's my favorite character in the movie. He is introduced in the very beginning as he claimed that the government was giving him LSD and manipulating him and doing hypnosis on him for years. Turns out he was right. And then you see him over paranoid, living in a bunker with everything in paper format because he didn't trust the government due to digital. And then you see him hypothesizing, the chopper's following us. And the chopper was. And then you see him saying, she smells like Washington. And she was. But he comes off as this really over paranoid person. The thing is, everything he says and does is right. He's never wrong. And he's gaslit through the whole movie. You as the viewer are gaslit through the whole movie. So you think, oh, he's a paranoid nut. But watch the movie again. He's never wrong. They only just gaslight him, dismiss him, label him. They actually are gaslighting you, the viewer. into thinking that he's wrong. The writers did it on purpose so that you would think you're looking at a red herring when you're not. Bruce Willis's script was designed to actually present gaslighting you, the viewer, as the red herring. So you're now looking through Bruce Willis's perspective, not able to see that this character is actually right 100% of the time. And the comments Bruce Willis makes are the red herring. So when this character says, "You smell like Washington," you're looking through Bruce Willis's point of view, and you think the guy is hilariously just nuts. But he's not. But in order to maintain the suspense and the surprise of the shock and awe of, "Oh my God, she's really from Washington," you, the viewer, has to believe Bruce Willis that the guy is nuts. So the writers use Bruce Willis to gaslight you on purpose, to use Bruce Willis's perspective as a red herring, so you will still go, "Oh my God, she really was from Washington." Really clever writing. It really is really clever writing. I love the movie Red. I love the movie Red. The thing is, I studied narcissism so much that I don't recognize, like, it doesn't work on me. I don't look at gaslighting. I ignored the gaslighting. I watched what the man was saying, listened to his perspective, and noticed that he was right each and every time. So the red herring didn't work on me. But I was watching everyone else in the room watch the movie going like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And it's because gaslighting only works if you don't know what it looks like. The government gaslights you constantly with subliminal messaging to make you think that people like me are nuts. So when people like me say things like, "Big Brother is watching," I have that book too. It's, we see things. And it was one of the huge things that I was struggling with when I put myself out there, because I know I'm going against the world's largest religion. I know I'm going against the entire psychological department. I know I'm going against the government. And I'm going, wow, wow, wow. But I'm just talking. And I'm scared. Yeah, there are times where I'm scared because I'm scared. And that was one of the reasons why I delayed speaking out for as long as I did. And I forgot about that until just now today, when my YouTube channel didn't work and I went, "Are they on to me?" And really, all I want is world peace. All I want is people to have accessibility to something that actually works, because the alternative of what they've been given doesn't. Because if it did, their success rate would be much higher than what it is. That's the largest real slap in the face that you really need to get your head wrapped around. When something works, it has a success rate of 99.8%. If it is less than 95%, it doesn't work. So let's do this. What is the success rate of Alcoholics Anonymous? Remember what I said, statistics. 8 to 12% success rate. If it's not 98% effective, at least, then it doesn't work. 8 to 12% success rate for Alcoholics Anonymous. If I gave you a prescription drug and said to you, we've got this thing that could cure your arthritis, but it only has a success rate of 8 to 12%, would you even bother trying it? How high are your medical standards? Do you want to look up the success rate for therapy? Because this is really where I have a problem with the system. People sit there and tell me how great Alcoholics Anonymous is. The success rate is 8 to 12%. Let's talk about, the other 92% of the people who don't succeed with Alcoholics Anonymous. I would call that a real fucking failure on behalf of the people who put it together. Because in my opinion, that's not a failure on the people looking for help. No, not at all. Not at all. The people who put Alcoholics Anonymous together, they fucking failed us. And I've spent a lot of time researching statistics like this. Because when we have medication that comes out, yeah, like penicillin is like 99.9% effective because it fucking works. But then we have mental health programs and the success rates. Google it. Google your own. What's the success rate of talk therapy? Hold NIM accountable. Hold the fucking government accountable. So when I went into therapy and I saw how fucking inadequate it is, this is the thing. I had 20 years of psych. So when I started my therapy, I didn't need to go into the system. I wanted to try the system's way because I wanted to know what the fuck we were being handed, because I wanted to know. I wanted to understand and see the system. Oh, I was not impressed. So I got put through the system. I opened my mind and I allowed them to treat me like a patient, and I followed all of their garbage. And they got cognitive behavioral therapy right, which is just a real fancy word for meditation, manifestation, and mindset. But they skipped the manifestation part. I had to plug that in from a different source. So I'm looking at it going, why are we accepting these shitty standards? Why is this okay and good enough for everybody else? Because it sure as fuck wasn't good enough for me. It should not be good enough for anyone. Alcoholics Anonymous, 8 to 12% success rate makes me fucking sick. And I just, shame on NIM. Shame on NIM. That's disgusting. We can do better. We are failing people 92% of the time. That's not okay. And that's where I have a serious problem with the system. The thing is, the system is more interested in preserving itself. That's its priority. The system wants to remain functioning, and it's falling apart, and it knows it. So it's doing a whole lot of shit to make sure it stays functioning. And I'm on my end of it, looking at it all, just going, there's a better way. There is a much better way. So when you start to speak out, when you start to challenge the system, it comes with fear. It comes with, how far am I going to get? What is this going to entail? Now, I also think about a lot of the anarchist rulers out there. I think a lot about the feminist rulers. And I spent a lot of time talking to attorneys and police officers and everybody to kind of get an idea. And I found the beautiful line in the sand. Talking is perfectly fine. No one really gives a fuck when you talk. I checked. It's when you start inciting hate crimes and riots that it becomes a problem, which I agree. I'm a pacifist. I am a solid pacifist. So I will never have that problem. I did spend a lot of time wondering, do I want to take this to the front lines? Do I want to do this? Do I want to station communications outside and rally people up? The problem is, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. That's not something I'm ready for right now. Right now, my goal is to just introduce my theories, get them out there, and take this one day at a time. That's my theory. That's what I'm wanting to do. That's my focus. At the end of the day, I think I know it'll be just fine. Because at the end of the day, the millennials are really going to speak out and really push this ethical change. Entrepreneurs are really going to push for it. And once they tables turn and the majority of people become fives and sixes, we're going to see an increase in education. We're going to see an increase in a priority of art and culture. We're going to see the entire culture shift from keep people stupid, keep people uneducated, keep people in a box to liberate the identity. It's going to become the era of liberating the identity. It is coming. So, that being said, there's this massive there's so much light workers, and these light workers are just growing and they're expanding, and it's beautiful. They're just overflowing and they're coming about everywhere, and I'm loving it. And uniting them is such a massive part of what needs to be done because it needs organization. I saw a meme the other day that really hit home. The people who desire world peace, as me, the people who desire world peace have to be more organized than the people who can organize war. Got it. Message received, universe. Understood. So we need to get organized. That's really it. It requires organization. But in order to do that, it's going to require a lot of understanding, gentle mercy, gentle mercy. And it's going to require a lot of knowledge and a massive perspective shift. The problem is, six-stage perspective thinkers are in the middle of chaos because of basically how physics is playing around with the hippocampus so much. And that sends them into massive trying to figure out who they are and ground themselves. And that's it. Yeah, it's going to be, I'm probably going to, no, I am going to be putting together a sixth perspective survival pack. That is what I'm going to be doing, is a survival class, a survival pack for the sixth perspective. That is something I'm definitely going to be putting together, is a survival pack to get them through the, okay, so you're definitely at that point, you're definitely feeling the shift, because right now all they have access to is the second stage perspective materials and holistic methods. And the problem is not the holistic methods, that's self-care. And that's not what they need. Self-care is not that. Self-care is great for maintenance, and self-care is fantastic for preparation, but it is not, it's soothing your fear. That's all self-care is. It is grounding your identity and soothing your fear, and that is so not the problem. That is like a fraction of the problem. The problem is a rogue subconscious mind. And the rogue subconscious mind, holistic methods do not touch the rogue subconscious. Not at all. Not at all. And that's the problem, is the subconscious mind does not adhere to the self-care methods from the holistic terms. So I see so many people diving hands first into the holistic methods, trying to do it. And the fourth perspective therapy that's provided just grooms people to stay sick in the fourth perspective. And then they give you meds that make you not care about being mentally ill. They give you meds that make you not care about being mentally ill. And the holistic methods just soothe and ground you. But when you have a rogue subconscious mind, There's going to be days, and there are days where it doesn't even touch you, because that's not the problem. The problem is you're not aligned, and you're not aligned because of all the perspective junk that you've got in your subconscious mind. So what you need to do is remove your perspective junk. But you can't do that unless you understand how the subconscious mind is built, the cognitive core, how it works within itself, what the unit consists of, how this completely, it's everything. The cognitive core is everything when it comes to your alignment. And when your hippocampus finally reaches that point where it's absorbing and it's picking up like an antenna onto physics, and you've got physics now playing around with your hippocampus, your self-care goes out the window. On a good day, it might be able to calm you down, but that's not what it's for. You're not supposed to be using meditation to calm you down. Self-care is not a coping skill. Self-care is a comfort zone so you can ground yourself. It is not a coping skill. Not at all. And that's the problem. People are using it as a coping skill. If you're using a coping skill, you're not dealing with the problem. You're coping. Coping is bad. Our mindset on how we approach mental health is really fucked up. Fourth Perspectives and their agenda made sure of that. So I'm going to be putting together the Sixth Perspective Survival Pack. Literally completely designed with just this in mind. I have a masterclass right now that I'm running called 8 Weeks to Inner Peace. And that's available, and that'll do the same thing. The Sixth Perspective Survival Pack is literally going to be a variation of the 8 Weeks to Inner Peace. It's literally going to be a variation on it. The only difference is I'm going to use a lot more of this speech, and I'm going to be talking directly to the sixth person perspective. Whereas with the inner peace, I'm talking to fifth perspectives. I'm talking to fourth and fifths. I'm talking to the business owner. Yeah, I'm talking to fourth and fifths. But I'm probably going to do another one where I'm going to use sixth person perspective and it's also going to focus a lot more on manifestation, So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to offer that. And then I have one for the business owner as well. So yeah, I'm definitely putting that together. And the goal with the survival pack is also going to be literally getting you from point A to point B. It's going to be, okay, welcome to the sixth perspective. And it's going to be welcoming you in from the fifth perspective. And then making sure you get to the seventh perspective so that when you're ready to cross over, when you do cross over, you'll be good to just break off and go do your own thing. It's going to get you through the entire sixth perspective. Because I went through it, and it was like doing shadow work without doing any shadow work. It was the most chaotic, horrific event in my life. It was just 2 years of solid turmoil and chaos. And I thought it was my shadow work, and that was part of it, but that was not. I did my shadow work while I was dealing with physics playing around with my brain. That was the problem. And that's exactly it. That's the other side of this is the reason why you suddenly decide to do shadow work is because physics suddenly interferes and jumps into your brain and starts scrambling things up. So all the bullshit you ignored comes to the surface. And now you have no choice but to deal with it. If you choose to deal with it, it's usually in the fifth perspective when you're trying to start your business and you can't, and you keep running into obstacles because you've got shit to work out. And that's when you start to notice that you have mental shit, because your mental shit is designed to fit into the fourth perspective. So if you stay in the fourth perspective, you're fine. It's when you leave the fourth perspective that you start to notice that you can't function outside of it because you weren't designed to, because of the amount of conditioning that went into your brain. So when you step out of that fourth perspective, out of the patriarchy, and you try and function without it, you get jargled. You get really, really thrown around when you're trying to build a business and you're trying to break off and you're trying to realize your dreams. That's when it doesn't work right. And then when you get to grow your hippocampus to that point where physics starts to play around with it. You get to that next stage, and then you really feel it, and all of your stuff breaks out, and it's all your unaddressed shit floats to the top. And it's happening while Mercury retrograde is pulling on you. And because you have so much garbage inside of you, it's just shaking you. I remember I was in the middle of Mercury retrograde this year when I found my alignment. So the first 2 weeks of Mercury retrograde were hell. And then, boom, I was fine. Literally, like night and day. Night and day. 2 weeks in, and then I hit that Mercury retrograde, and there was peace. And I was like, wow, this isn't doing anything. And then I enjoyed the rest of the retrograde. The retrograde that just hit now, I'm not feeling any of it because I'm aligned. And it got to the point where I was like, wow, I'm not feeling any of the energy anymore, because once you attune yourself to the energy, you become part of it, and then you adapt to it, and then you move with it. It becomes symbiotic to it, so that you move and you adjust accordingly. And then suddenly the slightest flux of a misalignment, you start to feel the slightest cognitive dissonance. So you have cognitive dissonance, and it's when you feel just a little bit over here that you go, oh, yeah, there it is. So you only get like 1-2 degrees in. You don't have to have it screaming at you at 10 anymore to feel it. So you know to address it at 1 and 2, and it goes away. It's fine. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a 6th perspective survival pack, and that 8 weeks to inner peace, I'm going to keep it as is, and that's definitely catered for the 5th perspective. And then I'm going to have the business pack where it's targeted toward the business mindset and setting that out. That's definitely the road I want to take. I don't think the 7th perspective does not need my material. No, I'm going to be very blunt. My master classes, everything I do is directly for the 5th and 6th perspective. That is my niche. And unfortunately, I can't say any of that in my marketing. Is if you are of the 5th or 6th perspective, this is for you. I can't do that. It's so infuriating. So I got to find all these 4th perspective ways to say, if you are of the 5th and 6th perspective. And I hate doing it because I'm like, it's so simple for me. Like, look, if you're of the 5th or 6th perspective and you're having problems with this is what you're looking for. And what I ended up doing instead is I ended up attracting a lot of 2nd stages. And I'm going, shit. 2nd stages do not want to be fixed. They love where they are. They love who they are. They are happy. 2nd stages have no use for me. They are just people who binge on inspirational quotes. So I ended up with 700 people just binging on my inspirational quotes. And I'm like, okay, I need to not, this is not the direction I wanted to go with my business. So I turned all my attention over to Facebook or to YouTube, and that really aligns with me. This really is my energy. So I'm going, there you go. That's where I am. I'm just gonna do my shit, and I'm gonna do my shit. It feels good. So yeah, it's coping skills are something else. They are extraordinary. If you like shit like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want even more shit like this, join my megaphone announcements for my amphitheater. And if you are wanting more shit like this in an organized, orderly fashion, designed specifically with purpose, take a look at my masterclasses. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.